Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show.
I want you to be the first one that ever has heard this, because I've never said this before and nobody knows about this. When I was 15 years old and I was praying with my mom, and we were praying to take the pain away, and we were praying that she's going to be cured and that she has a long life to live, then all of a sudden, and I have never felt something like that before, my hands got so hot that I thought they are burning off. And something was saying to me, put your hands on the stomach of your mom. And I put my hands on my mom's stomach, on my mom's liver. And it got so hot that my mom got to start to sweat. I started sweating. And it was like fire, like hot melting steel melts together with her stomach, with her liver, and everything changed from that moment on. From that moment on, she had lesser pain. She felt better. And now all of a sudden, books came into my hand that showed me how to apply acupressure to help my mom with her pain level, how to get rid of gallbladder stones that we now know formed in the gall ways, because the gallbladder was completely gone as we thought. And later it turned out they messed up completely the surgery and left half of the gallbladder in with even a stone, and that was causing the main pain that my mom was suffering. But all of a sudden, when I had the hands on my mom's liver, I had the feeling there's something hard in there. There is something bad in there. And later she had a surgery, and they took out the stone and the rest of the gallbladder, and that helped a lot with the pain issue. But of course, the cancer was still there, the liver cirrhosis was still there, the hepatitis C was still there. And then it was like God was putting me into places. I met one of the most wonderful people I ever met, the leading expert for hypnotherapy in the world, Professor Trader, who said to me when he saw me, and I was 14, 15, 16 years old, I don't really remember the age, when you have your summer vacations with your school, you come to me and I teach you everything I learned in my life. I'm going to die soon and I want you to take it all. And I've been there for 3 months over the summer vacation and learned everything that this man accumulated in knowledge and healing possibilities. And I applied it to my mom every day when I came home. And all of a sudden, she got better. The wrinkles went away. She looked 15 years younger. And we applied everything and everything and everything. And God was just leading us from one solution to the next solution and the next solution. But whenever we prayed together, we felt this energy again, this heat again. And my mom felt the strength coming, and she says, I feel that God is healing me. She drank the tea that we figured out she should drink, and she says, this is the natural healing liquid that God sends to us. And all of a sudden she got better and better and better. And when I was 20 years old, we had my mom completely checked, and they said, it's a miracle. You're completely cured. You are 100% healthy. Your liver is 100%. All levels are perfect. What in the world did you go? There's a miracle happened to you. And my mom said, yes, there is a miracle happened to me. And I am standing here as a proof that there is a loving, healing God. And of course, the medical profession does not really want to deal with that issue. And they kind of like swept it underneath the table and didn't even talk about it anymore. And then, Paul, something really, really bad happened. My grandmother brought 8 children through the Second World War as a refugee. My grandfather was in the Nazi concentration camp because he was refusing to hang his Jewish neighbors. The Nazis wanted them to put all his Jewish neighbors on a pickup truck, throw a rope over a tree branch, and hang them. And my grandfather refused, so he ended up in a Nazi concentration camp. Then my grandmother, with all her children just by herself, a very strong woman, 50 years a nurse in an emergency nurse. Later she was working with mentally handicapped children in an institution in a psychiatric institution, and she was a midwife. She was somebody who was a strong, wonderful, powerful person. And for 28 years, Paul, my grandmother had a bad lymph nodes in her breast. It was really big, but it didn't grow, it didn't hurt, it didn't do anything. And then a young doctor talked her into surgery. And after that surgery, the very next day, my grandmother started to die. Over the period of 2 years, the most horrible death I can ever imagine or can ever anybody tell about, because it was so horrific. When you came into her hospital room, your tears were running from the poison that came out of the broken open skin of my grandmother. Her arm was so big that it didn't fit in the casket anymore when she was dead. That was the most horrific thing I have ever seen in my life. And my mom and I are standing next to the bed, and my grandmother was dead, and we asked the doctor what happened. And he said, we did not expect that it happened that fast. And I turned around and I said, you knew that would happen? And he says, yes, of course. If we do this kind of surgery and we take out that many lymph nodes, that will always happen. We just thought it would take 3 to 5 years for this to happen. And I said, you knew it would happen? You knew my grandmother had this bad lymph node in her breast for 28 years. It didn't grow, it didn't hurt, it didn't do anything. And you talked her into surgery knowing that would happen? And he says, yes, we had to take a chance. And I said, you had to take a chance with my grandmother's life? And he says, yes, we had to. And from that moment on, Paul, my life changed forever. My understanding about the medical profession changed forever. And my calling came. I wrote my very first mega best-selling book, which is still in print today, 56 printing, when I was 17 years old. And it's unbelievable what I have seen. I have seen over 35,000 cancer patients in my life, or directly, indirectly, workshops and single treatments and so on. And I have now 14 best-selling books on the market. And people absorb these books because they are written from a human being to a human being, from a Christian to a Christian. My new book, Paul, and you will be excited about that, is going to be called God's Answer to Cancer. And it's going to be a phenomenal book. We have all the references from the Bible in there. It's going to be really, really fantastic. And what I really want to get across here is, first of all, there is always a solution if you trust in God and if you don't give up and if you're willing to do your part. You cannot just sit there and do nothing. Life doesn't work that way. But if you help yourself, God will help you. If you pray, your prayers will be answered. If you act, you will produce results. If you produce wrong results, you learn from them. If you don't produce right results, you keep on moving and moving and moving until you reach your goal. I have today 8 different degrees. And I only got these degrees to be able to legally apply every form of therapy that I knew would help a person. And now at the end of the day, after 14 best-selling books, 8 different degrees, 35,000 patients, 2.3 million seminar attendees in my life seminars, and having one of the most successful radio shows, having one of the most successful blogs, and so on, and so on, and so on. I can tell you there is always hope, there is always a solution. You just need to trust in God and in yourself, and you need to start acting. And you never, ever, 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 ever give up. And now I know that cancer is not even an illness, Paul. It is just a symptom. And this is what people need to understand. Cancer is not an illness. It is just an accumulation of atrophied cells, dead cells, half-dead cells, mutated cells, that the body gets rid of from beginning, the very first day of our life. When we are born with cancerous cells throughout our body. And these so-called free radicals, the cells that need to be replaced, are going to be replaced all the time from the day on we are born. And when our system stops doing it, the question is, we need to ask ourselves why. And the answer is always the same. Every illness is caused by lack of energy. There is no other cause for any kind of illness.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life.